So today I'm going to share a very special recipe with you. My family loves it. They always have me make it whenever I come and visit. And it is, you may know it in America as a spinach pie or Spanakopita. So I don't have an actual recipe with ingredients all measured out. I just kind of make it and I cook it. I mean, the main ingredient is spinach. I always like using fresh spinach, but you can use frozen spinach. It's really not a big deal, but freshest ingredients is always best. So let's start with the spinach. You always want to wash the spinach. So this bag is 350 grams, and we'll see how much spinach it is, because when you cook the spinach, you boil it down, it really shrinks up. So I have a few other bags, and I think maybe 2 bags will do. Let's see. And you want to wash everything. I tend to wash things even if it says it's pre-washed. Take the washed spinach and transfer it to a pot of water and let it come to a boil. And you can tell when it's done because it gets all soft and shrinks up quite a bit. So get as much spinach cooking as you can. Now, I don't have an actual recipe with measuring units for this, so I'll try my best to give you guys a guideline, but you just get into the kitchen and you start cooking, and if it looks right and smells right and tastes right, then you're good to go. Right now I'm working on a bag of 350 grams of spinach, and I'm probably going to use 2 bags because, like I said, the spinach shrinks down quite a bit. So we'll see how much spinach I can cook and give you the measurements of that. So while we wait for the spinach to cook, let's get chopping some onions. You guys know I love onions. I use onions all the time. And the thing with the onions is that you can use raw onions to throw into the mix before we put it to bake, but I do find that sauteed onions a little bit really adds a little bit more richness to the flavor. So that's a nice little trick. So chop the onion in half, and what you're gonna wanna do is make slices down it like this. Make like a little grid. And then you slice it orthogonal or perpendicular to those slices. And that way you get little cubes. Different ways to slice an onion, chop an onion, whatever. And you do that with all of them. Again, make the little long slices. Down the onion. And then perpendicular or orthogonal to those slices. Make some more chops and you get some nice cubed onions, diced onions. Let's check on this spinach. Okay, it's starting to shrink down, so then you can just keep adding more fresh spinach. And then you make room, because I don't have the biggest pot ever. So you can start to see, as soon as it gets hot, it's not even a boil yet really, but as soon as it gets hot, it starts to shrink up. And then you have more space for some more. And just keep adding more and more spinach. I mean, you don't need to overcook it, you just need to shrink it down. And again, you can use frozen spinach. Yeah, you see that? You see how it's just shrinking down now? Once the spinach is cooked, put it on a strainer and let it sit. You can even start squeezing out some of the water and moisture from it, because you don't want too much water in our mixture, in our spinach mixture, because then you'll have a soggy dish. But while we are waiting for the spinach to strain, let's cook up some of these onions. Let's saute onions. I'm not really sure about this recipe. Again, I just kind of eyeball it and do what I think feels right. So I don't really know how many onions, but let's see what we're working with here. And again, the onions also, when you cook them, kind of shrink up a bit. So I like to do as much as I can. So right now I'm working on onion 2. See how that looks. And just like I said that the sauteed onions taste a lot better when you saute it before you put it in the mixture and into the oven. The same concept with garlic. So I'm gonna roast up a little bit of garlic with the onions so that it enhances the flavor. Now some of you guys might think it's too much garlic, but there's never too much garlic. So I'm working with, I think, 2 large onions diced. Looks pretty good for the amount of spinach that we're working with. And I know we use 2 large bags of spinach, but when it cooks, it is so shrunken up. So 2 onions works, and a few cloves of garlic. Let's see what looks right. I don't know if you guys saw that whole garlic peeling trick thing on the internet, but let me tell you, it didn't work for me. This is very frustrating peeling garlic, but an old trick that I was told was to crush it. It's actually how you activate the garlic too. So crush it a bit and then you can peel it. Yeah, it's much better for me. I'm probably gonna put a little bit of fresh garlic in the mixture as well, but a little bit of roasted garlic gives it that nice flavor. Okay, that was 2 cloves for now. Oh yeah, you can smell the garlic and the onions cooking. Okay, so now that's 3 cloves of garlic and 2 large onions. It smells so good. There's something about roasting garlic and onions. I don't think this is really roasting. What is it called? Sauteing. There's something about sauteing garlic and onions. It just makes the whole house smell so good. But I couldn't be farther from that. Just make the bleeps. Okay, so this is all of the spinach that I get after cooking 2 bags, 2 big bags, 350 grams of spinach. And you see, it's not that much. It's my hand in comparison. So I'm gonna cook up some more spinach. Okay, this is 3 bags of spinach, 350 grams each. So that'll do for now. We're adding more things to it, so it's fine. And let's see how much of this onion concoction we add to it. Probably all of it. Looks pretty good. Yeah, I like it nice and oniony. Now they say that the origins of Spanakopita are hard to trace, but some say that there are origins over 400 years ago in Greece, and it is a traditional Greek dish, and that's why I make it in my family. I am Croatian, so Croatia is between Greece and Italy and has a lot of influence of all that kind of stuff. And we also have a traditional Croatian dish that is called burek, and it's really similar to Spanakopita, except instead of spinach, it's like ground beef and onions and all that stuff. And I did want to do that video for you guys another time. I didn't want to complicate this one with all these different types of phyllo dough dishes. So we'll do that one another time. Add the onions and garlic. Add a little bit more fresh chopped garlic. And of course, feta cheese. Lots and lots of feta cheese. Just crumble that in there. Crush that feta cheese up. More. Doesn't hurt. And eggs. Again, I kind of wing this recipe, so I'm not exactly sure how many eggs, but definitely at least 2. So let's see how it looks. I think we're definitely gonna need more than 2. And of course, salt and pepper. Mix it all together. That looks like the right amount of egg. You know, egg is like a binding agent, so that's really what it is. You want to make sure that when you cook this and slice it, it's all together. And so that's kind of what the egg does. Now the proportions are looking pretty good. This is what I like to see. Okay, now you take out some phyllo pastry dough, and you can get this at the supermarket. They usually have it there. And they come in sheets, really, really thin pastry sheets. Just roll it out. Oh, maybe before you roll it out, because it does dry really fast, you're gonna want to melt some butter. I don't have a microwave, so I have to melt some butter in a pan, but you can just pop it in the microwave. Another thing you might want to prep is the pan. So I use a baking sheet. These ones are always really great. It's like the glass ones. And I'm definitely gonna need a lot more than this though. These always work as well. Any sort of sheet, I think it is, baking tray. If you have like a paper towel or something, you can spread that around, or if you have a brush. A brush is really, really handy for this operation, but I don't have one. So the tray is buttered, and since I don't have a brush, I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of butter on the dough. Butter is great. I don't care what anyone says. And you know what? People used to cook with real butter all the time. And if you look up these traditional Croatian dishes, there's a lot of butter. I mean, in the Borek, there's even a roux that you make with it. And what you want to do is just kind of plop little chunks around. And when you roll it, eventually, it kind of all just works. All the surface area kind of gets all over the place, even if you just do it in chunks like that. And again, this is kind of where, I don't know what the rule of thumb is, but I like to kind of pack it and cram a lot of stuffing. And you take like, I don't know, 2 or 3 sheets. I don't know if you could see the little sheets here. So I think 2 is actually looking, I think that is feeling right to me. I might do 3, let me see. It depends on how it holds, and I have a feeling this is gonna rip. So I'm gonna use 3. Is that the 3rd one? Yeah, I think that feels a lot better. And then you put it in the pan. And you just keep doing that. This is the bit where I was saying it's really important to drain the spinach, because there have been times that it is really watery and it just gets the dough super soggy, and you don't want that. Drizzle a little bit more butter, that's right, more butter on top of it. And add a little bit of salt on the top, so kind of like a pretzel when you taste that salt on the top of the dough. It's really nice. And what I also do before I pop it in the oven is that I'll take a sheet of the dough and put it over it, because you don't want it to like burn too much on the top. So you get that outer layer. You'll want to preheat the oven, of course, before you put it in there. And again, I'm in the UK, so I think we're dealing in Celsius here. And I really, I don't know what I'm doing with these degrees. So I just kind of wing it. Lately around 200 is good, but I think that pastry stuff and things like that, It's a bit of a high heat, kind of like when you do cookies and all that. Kitty, really? I'm trying to, she was scratching and she interrupted my...
I'm sorry, I shouldn't do it.
Just give me another one. Okay, go get it. What? What are you doing with that? So you, of course, want to preheat the oven before you pop those babies in there. And I am in the UK, so I'm dealing with some strange temperatures here. You know, I don't really know what I'm doing. And honestly, I kind of forget what it is like in the US. What should I do, like 350 or something? I don't know. But I do know that when you do like pastries, cookies and stuff like that, it's a bit of a high temperature. If you're doing a long roast, it's gonna be in the oven for like an hour or two or a few hours. You kind of lower that temperature and just so that it doesn't burn the outside or whatever you're roasting. So this is a bit of a high heat. I've got like over 200 degrees Celsius going on in here. So whatever, you really can't go wrong. It's a super, super easy thing to make. Put it in the middle of the rack. And let's wait. I, again, don't have a solid recipe for this, so I just kind of throw it in there, check on it in 10 minutes, and you'll know when it's done because it has, the dough is browned on the top of it, and I'll pull off that upper layer of dough and let it crust a little bit more, and the rest of it's usually done perfectly. I like to do all of the borek and the spinach pie and all of that stuff all at the same time. Not only does my family request it, but you'll always have an odd amount of phyllo dough left over, and I don't like to waste, so you have to use the phyllo dough, otherwise it'll dry up. You really can't save phyllo dough. So what I tend to do if I do have extra phyllo dough is you make sweet pastries. So I'll put jam in the phyllo dough and roll it up and put it in the oven as well. But I happen to not have any jam with me. So what I'm going to do is take some frozen berries, frozen fruit, and put some water and cornstarch on the stovetop with it and make a bit of a filling. The timer went off, and let's check out and see how it looks. You see, I'll just take this bit off when I really want to let it kind of cook up a bit. Maybe do that now actually, and just let that cook a bit more and get that top crusty again. Going to put it back in there for another 10 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes, and let that upper crust get dark again now that we took the top layer off. While we wait for that, let's do our sweetened one. I have yet again more odd numbers of phyllo dough sheets, so I am not only going to be making a sweet dessert pastry, but I figured I'd use some of the extra feta cheese and some shredded cheddar cheese and make a cheese one. This isn't the official cheese one. I'll do another full recipe for that some other time, but I'm just trying to get use out of all of this phyllo dough. So I have shredded cheddar cheese, feta cheese, and again, egg to bind it all together, and it's pretty delicious. There's the timer again. Let's check it. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Okay, it's finished. Let's check it out. And this is the cheesy, eggy one. We have the spinach and cheese. And here we are, we have cheese and spinach. Got a little extra bonus out of me with the cheese one, and it is really good, but I'm not sure if that's the official recipe, but close enough. And the spinach one, which is a wonderful Mediterranean dish that the family will love, and it is super, super easy to make. Just throw all the ingredients together and mix it up. Can't go wrong. And I'm not sure if this is the right shape for the Spanakopita. I think the Greeks do like an actual pie and cut slices out of it, but I am used to the Croatian burek, and that's how we make the burek. We roll it up. So just to make things quick and easy, we kind of do the same thing with the spinach one, and it tastes so good. I hope you guys try it. Please comment and please share if you have tried these recipes. Thank you.